Time again for one man's opinion. One man's opinion. Been a while since I made this little show here, and I wanted to take the time to talk about something that's been in my mind for a little while now, because I just recently, because I'm behind and everything, got into getting Blu-rays. Now, in my life, when it comes to watching movies, shows, television, what have you, I've had to deal with basic TV, cable, streaming, videos, DVD, and now Blu-ray. And the best was definitely streaming. If you had to choose one there, cable was probably close, but streaming was the best, just having this stuff. Even on demand, which was kind of like before streaming, kind of like the baby version of streaming was good. But if you're going to own movies, you probably want to, like, on home media. Home media is still really good in my opinion, because, be honest, like, you don't know if everything's going to be there always, and with the way streaming services love to edit stuff down sometimes for whatever reason, or when they have, some issues where they have to take something off, you have the original thing there, and, like, Blu-rays, probably a good way to go, because if I do here, I'd probably do the pros and cons of Blu-rays versus DVDs, and pretty recent Blu-ray I got of Dragon Ball Z Season 3. Really love this. It's amazing. Let's talk about some of the pros first. I'm probably going to bounce back and forth on this. Pros of Blu-rays better than DVDs review, and the cons of it. I'll probably bounce back and forth just because it kind of runs through my head the thoughts that I want to say. Had a lot of thoughts in my head today. But, okay, so first of all, the most obvious pro, I think, for Blu-rays, as far as over DVDs, is that they can hold more data. You can have, like, this is a 4-disc set. 4 discs you get here. And compared to the season, if you see the DVD season of it, it's like 6 discs, I believe. I believe it's 6. So you're compressing space, and also just the size of on your shelf here. If you're somebody who puts them on a shelf, as most people are, you're going to want to have them more small because that's more room on your shelf. That's the first thing, is that you can, well, that's actually two things. One is that the cases are more small, and the discs themselves can hold more data, hold more thingies, if you will. Now, another pro is that, I think that a pro of that would be that the pictures are really good. They're probably the best, unless you go to 4K. 4K is a little better, but they're the best picture you're going to get over DVDs for sure. Now, there have been some where it's not as good, where they mess with it and they don't remaster it yet. That's a exception to the rule. Excuse me, sorry about that. And their pro, I guess, would be that it's pretty easy to find, most of what you want on Blu-ray. Like, most of the movies that you want obscure stuff, you're gonna find on Blu-ray. Now, let's start talking about the cons. Talk a lot about the pros. Now, these are some things that I've noticed. First of all, the most obvious con, in my opinion, as far as Blu-ray over DVDs, by the way, would be how DVDs are at least a little bit better than Blu-rays. Or you can say anything better, is the fact that, hold up, man. Yeah, anyway, ghost bothering me. The first one would be that DVDs are, what's the thing I'm gonna say here? They're the first is the features that, for the most part on Blu-ray, you get the same features as you would on DVD, but sometimes they just don't do that. Sometimes they want to go and they want to sit here and remove certain features. You get things like, I have this also I bought pretty recently, this Terminator 2 Blu-ray, which is awesome. Has features from different versions of, I'm assuming, the home video, because it has 91, 93, and they wouldn't have DVD then. It has like 2001 also features. So you're getting various features from different sets. That's a good example. The bad example is like where they take away stuff, where it's like you don't get the stuff you should get. You get an abbreviated version of what you would normally get on the original DVD. and them removing the features, and you really can't get those back. And sometimes it's licensing, and sometimes it's just them not wanting to do it, and that leads to a weird thing of not being sure what you're paying for too. It leads to the whole thing of, well, this special edition DVD, this special edition DVD, all that really weird, strange scenario there. Another thing about Blu-rays, another blathering thing about Blu-rays, DVDs, Macon, Blu-rays, is that the covers, the way they're packaged, is just not very good. Not going with the actual artwork, but like I like the fact they're thinner, but like you get stuff like this where the DVD would have a book that tells you about the episodes and the characters, and there's nothing here. It's just they put these little things to hold something, but there's nothing there, and that's just really dumb. And the disc also don't look as good. And obviously, you might not care about that. That's only some examples, Might not care necessarily about that, and I don't find that to be a big deal breaker. But it's a little ridiculous to print out this case and have a thing to hold a sleeve, a booklet, and not put anything in there. What even was the fucking point? Then we get to the artwork of Blu-ray. So I can show you one here I actually have. We got... Of course, this is a trilogy, so it's a little different. But here's the original artwork of the Matrix Revolutions Reloaded. Here's a trilogy on Blu-ray, and we don't get the full picture. But that's not the only one like that. Like, some artworks, they just change the artwork and it's just not as good. They make it different. They go for a whole new kind of look or something. And just sometimes it's not as good. Dragon Ball is a good example of that too. I do like this, but I like the fact that on the DVDs you can make a Dragon Ball Z logo with all the seasons. Here you just got like the season number. And it does helpful by telling the episode numbers, but it's still kind of cool having that little visual there. So right now I'd say it's about half and half. Would be the thing that. So we have 3 cons, 3 pros. Now what would be the next con, the next pro that we do? I'll throw out a con. Now I talked earlier about how you can find almost everything on Blu-ray. But then you get between the cracks and just really weird stuff like the fact that WWE didn't make a whole lot of Blu-rays. This is the fact they didn't. I think they started making them. The first one I know was WrestleMania 24, and that's in 2008. So you're thinking, oh, well, from 2008 to at least the launch of the network, you had that was in 2014. 6 years where they released everything on Blu-ray and DVD, right? Presumably, or at some point they would just switch to Blu-ray. No, that's not it at all. What they did, from what I can see, is that they released some of the things on Blu-ray, specifically like WrestleMania, and sometimes some pay-per-views and some box sets, and released the DVD and the Blu-ray. But then at some point they just released them more limited and didn't really release them as much. And at some point they just said, you know what? No, we're just doing DVDs now. Now I believe it was after the network they just started releasing exclusive DVDs and kind of gave up on Blu-rays, which is a weird way to do things. But it still is a thing like where I don't think, for example, show you one. This never had a Blu-ray. This came out in 2008. The Jericho Breaking the Code, Behind the Walls of Jericho. And that's one example. There's more. Like you have some movies and shows that might be more obscure. Like another really good one is The Simpsons. 1 to 15 seasons of The Simpsons, seasons 1 to 15, you cannot find on Blu-ray. Or no, 1 to 16. My bad. 17 is the first Blu-ray you can find of The Simpsons. They've only released 20 seasons of The Simpsons on DVD. I don't know why that sounds so weird. Excuse me. They've only released 20 seasons of The Simpsons on Blu-ray. No, on DVD. Right? Okay. 20 in the 30-something years they've had the show. And the Blu-rays are even less. They've only released 17, 18, 19, 20. 4 seasons. So, if you want to collect The Simpsons, you're going to have to go find DVDs. You can't find the Blu-rays. And because they've been out of print for a while, they're going to be even harder to find. You're going to spend them big bucks. And it's pretty annoying, And that's the one thing that, yeah, on the surface, you can find pretty much every movie and show made today. Oh, find that on Blu-ray. But if you want to go older, you want to go before 2000 especially, it's going to be a little more sticky. You know, uh, the other con would be that Blu-rays have always cost more than DVDs, even to this day. Even when, for the most part, they're not made as much. They still make them, but you still find like some $5 Blu-rays in like Walmart sometimes or something. But it's not as common. Whereas you can walk in there and buy DVDs pretty cheaply. So it's another con right there. Yeah. Trying to think. I'm running out of reasons though. Been arguing with idiots on Reddit. Not smart at all. Woo. But anyway, what else is there to say? I mean, I don't know. Overall, I think there might be more cons. I hate the repeats. I've seen a video a few years ago from the AVGN where he talks about what he'd like about Blu-rays. And I hate to parrot him, but I mean, this ain't really as big a deal to me because I don't really care about it. But the menus, yeah, I think the most annoying thing to me is not so much that they don't put any effort into the menus. That's kind of here or there. I feel like, well, if you're gonna make the menu look cool. But I care more about the fact when they do stuff like, oh, the movie just starts playing and it doesn't go to a menu, and you might like, well, hold on, I might want to check special features. I might want to set up a certain way, and you have to do that weird pop and it's like psh, like that, like it sounds like a soda can opening. That weird shit. I don't like that. To me, that's really annoying. That it does stuff like that. you couldn't couldn't let me go to my menu. And the Marvel are like the worst of this too, because as soon as you start the thing, it'll go to like selecting the language, and it goes to this weird screen that isn't a menu, and then you have to see the and like you get like the same problem you have with DVDs. You could just kind of do a video. You can't even skip these like you open and stuff. You can skip most of the trailers to like the logos stuff at the beginning. You usually can't skip. Really annoying. That goes back to even DVDs. So they don't let you skip those. But anyway, so I think here I've had more cons than pros for why Blu-rays over DVDs, but I do think they are, in general, a better format. I just wish there was more options of them, more than where at, and also if sometimes the artwork on the boxes was a little better, and put the features that are supposed to be there. Don't just throw out, just throw on the random features. And also, if you're going to be making any home media that's not a video, if it's a disc and it's a movie, put a damn trailer in there. If nothing else. If you don't put anything else in there, put a freaking trailer. There's no excuse not to put trailers. You put the trailer on there. You put it on. Because I like watching trailers. And I think most people like watching trailers. Yeah, we're about to watch this movie. We don't need to be sold on the movie, but trailers are kind of fun. It's kind of cool to see what they were thinking when they made trailers. But I digress. Anyway. So, no, one man's opinion. I can actually talk about other things. This kind of ended early, so Tony Khan will have a makeup. We'll have a standby match. A standby one man's opinion. So, one man's opinion. One man's opinion about what will I talk about now? So I saw 3 movies recently that were new that I hadn't seen before. One was The Batman. That's fantastic. I highly recommend it. It's great. It's wonderful. Yeah, it's 3 hours. But it's a good 3 hours. And it's not really 3 hours. You just get the credits. And there's a post-credit scene, but it doesn't. It's like, you don't really need to see that. Because they ain't really see. I'm not trying not to spoil. The only thing I can say without spoiling it is that it's done in a way Batman's never been done. And it's done in a way that it recognizes its influences of comics that I am not as familiar with as I'd like to be. I'd love to be more familiar, but it's not easy for me to get some comics sometimes, either because of money or because I don't live in places where comics are very easy to get without some kind of subscription or something. But it's enough that I know what they're referencing, and they do a good job of referencing that, and it's done in a way that it's like so new and unique, but also feels familiar. And Robert Pattinson, the fucking rules. May his Twilight forever be erased from history now. Oh, I saw Jackass forever. I saw it in theaters. Even though I don't want to see Johnny Knoxville in a match at WrestleMania, it was really fun to see this movie. Hilarious movie. Just did a fantastic job. I don't really know. I never really tried to rank the Jackass movies because I watched them all. They're all pretty damn funny. Hard for me. This one was crazy. I don't know. This one was more crazy than the other ones. This one they had some new up and comers in the Jackass crew. That's cool, nice, because these guys are getting old. Can't have them beating each other up when they're 50 and 60. They ain't gonna be like Terry Funk or something. You know what I'm saying? And doing the Jackass. He Funk's a badass. Fuck the original Jackass. I mean, in the best possible way. That dude, amazing, wonderful legend. But I don't think they can do that. They're gonna get too baked up. So cool to see some new talent there. And then I saw the Fright Night. I had to explain this because it's a little weird. Oh, I forgot to mention also the Batman, the Penguin was fantastic. And Zoe Kravitz was also amazing. I want to put her out like that. She was incredible. She did a unique take on the Catwoman. I really liked her style. The only reason I mentioned Penguin because if you didn't tell me that was Colin Farrell, I would not know that's Colin Farrell. He plays it so differently. And speaking of Colin Farrell, these are a segue. Because I saw the Fright Night remake from a few years ago. I've seen every other Fright Night. I've seen the original 1985 one, fantastic movie, great horror movie, good vampire movie. Just a lot of fun. Also has Amanda Bierce before Married to Children. That's fun. The Fright Night 2 they made a few years later. It was in the 80s still. It was like where they had this female vampire and she had like this team with her. And only had the main character from the first one, that's Charlie Brewster. The remake, there was Fright Night 2, there was direct to DVD or something like that, called New Blood, which was about Elizabeth Bathory, but she was Jerry Dandridge. Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good, but it's just pretty strange. One thing I'll say about that one, I think of too many spoilers, but Peter Vincent's job in that one changes from being a guy that hosts movie shows to being a ghost hunter, which just kind of makes sense because you have to kind of evolve. Like, they don't really have people hosting movies. Like, they kind of do. Spin does that, I guess, but maybe they just figured it wouldn't be as big. But they could have made like he's hosting YouTube movies or something, or host a Netflix show, and he's a horror guy, horror guru, whatever. Just a little play guy probably put out. And also that one takes place in Transylvania. I don't know if it's really in Transylvania, but that's where it said it. But anyway, the Fright Night, I watched the one that was a few years ago with Colin Farrell playing the character of Jerry, the vampire next door, if you will. And Anton Yelchin, may he rest in peace. This movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. Had a fun tone. Had some good music in it too that I hadn't heard in a while. Although it's really weird to hear Teeny. I mean, I guess it was a song that was big at that time, but like hearing the pumped up kicks when they're driving to school, knowing that song's about, it's kind of wow. But anyway, then Colin Farrell's great in that too. I don't know. I don't feel like I liked it as much as the original. Not because it was bad. Just I don't know. It did have a lot of. It felt very fast paced. I will say, without giving too many spoilers, if you want to go watch it, it's on Hulu right now. So we'll check that out. It took me forever to find this movie. I was gonna watch it literally my friend was here when it came on demand on my cable and it was free after the movie came out like a year later. And hold on. He's like, he wants to watch it, and he starts putting it on, and I start falling asleep. I'm like, oh, well, you can finish it, I'll watch it later. I didn't watch it, and then every fucking time I want to watch it, I put it in a box. I put it in a queue somewhere. Oh, it's a Netflix. I put it in my little queue. Oh, I forget. And then when I remember, it's gone. Scatterbrain, I tell you. And now I finally caught it, It wasn't really, I don't know if it was worth the wait. Like, it's not bad. It's just, it feels, I don't think anything was worth that wait. Let's put it that way. I don't know if anything could live with that expectations. No offense to the movie. But this is a fun movie. I think this Charlie Brewster was a little bit less of a more likable as a character than the old Charlie Brewster, I will say. And Peter Vincent was definitely the weirdest take on the Peter Vincent. And I got, Charlie Brewster I don't want to go to. I do like the way he's portrayed in the original, being kind of always scared out of his mind. This one just felt, Anton felt a little bit too calm for a lot of this. That's the only thing I'll say, but whatever. Like, it's not a big deal. It was a fun movie. I still really recommend it. It's a good vampire movie. You won't be disappointed. It's like an hour and 42. Also, there's a actual cameo. I won't spoil it, but a cameo with the guy who played the original Jerry in the original Fright Night, Chris Sheridan. It's a really good cameo too. Okay, but I was gonna say, speaking of Fright Night, little sidebar, aside from the movies, but any of those movies I recommend. But if you have to see one, see Batman. And you have to see two, I don't know. Depends. If you don't feel comfortable seeing dudes get their ass kicked for an hour and a half, or seeing a lot of dicks, a lot of like bee stings and shit, or like a lot of bug abuse, like bugs abusing humans, then go see the Fright Night. But speaking of Fright Night, right? So Peter Vincent, if you didn't know, if I remember, he was named after Vincent Vincent Price, who was in a lot of horror movies in like the 40s, the 50s, I think to the till his death basically. I think he was in a lot of horror movies. He was actually the guy too that gave Edward Scissorhands his body in the Edward Scissorhands movie. That was his last role. Probably the only movie of him that I've seen. I know who he is, but I haven't really watched the old horror. Like I think he was in like a lot of vampires, old vampire. Peter, I believe, is a reference to Peter Cullen, who was another guy who was in a lot of horror movies. I really don't know much about. Oh, Peter Lorre. I'm sorry, Peter Lorre, I believe. Okay, well, point being, I was thinking like I was saying to my friend, but he was really paying attention. Who, if you were gonna make like a character like that in a modern horror movie, what would you even call him? Because there's really nobody that would fit that. No one really like is in a lot of horror movies, known for being in horror movies, like horror movie actors. Now, other than like the people who play the horror monsters. Like maybe you could have a female with named Elvira, or you take her last name at Peters, her real name, or something like that, because he hosts the things. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you go with like a horror wrestler. Maybe you call him Bray or something. I don't know, but just a thought I had. Put some comments below if you could think of some. If you had to come up with a guy with two horror names of horror actors in like 2022. But anyway, that's all I gotta say. I don't really have anything else to talk about. I'm a very boring dude with a very uninteresting life. And I usually do stuff I shouldn't do. Probably include this video. But I hope you enjoyed it. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this video. For fuck's sake. Anyway, have a great day. Peace.